Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair on the bridge of the UES Horizon. The stars moved slowly past the main window as his ship traveled through deep space. It was just another normal day on their survey mission. They had been out here for 3 months now, mapping new systems and looking for planets that humans might want to visit someday. Jake was a tall man with brown hair and kind eyes. He had been a ship captain for 15 years. His crew trusted him because he always made good decisions and cared about their safety. Today felt like any other day until something changed everything. "Captain, I'm getting something strange on the communications array," said Ben Carter from his station. Ben was young, but very good at his job. He had short black hair and always wore a serious expression when he worked. Jake turned his chair to face Ben. "What kind of strange?" "It's a signal, sir. But it's not like anything we've seen before. It's definitely artificial, but it's not using any human codes or languages." Lisa Parker looked up from her engineering station. She was a smart woman with red hair who kept all the ship's systems running perfectly. "Could it be a malfunction in our equipment?" Ben shook his head. "No, I've checked everything twice. This signal is real, and it's coming from outside our ship." Dr. Amy Stone, the ship's medical officer, walked onto the bridge. She was a gentle woman with gray hair who had been treating sick people for over 20 years. "I heard you found something." "Interesting?" Jake nodded. Ben put the signal on the main speakers. The bridge filled with a strange sound. It was like music, but not human music. There were high notes and low notes that seemed to repeat in patterns. Sometimes the sound got louder, sometimes softer. It was beautiful in a way, but also sad. "How long has this been going on?" Jake asked. "About an hour now," Ben replied. "It keeps repeating the same pattern over and over." Jake stood up and walked closer to Ben's station. "Can you figure out where it's coming from?" "I'm working on it, Captain. Give me a few more minutes." While Ben worked, the rest of the crew gathered on the bridge. They all listened to the strange signal. Nobody had ever heard anything like it before. "Got it," Ben said finally. "The signal is coming from a location about 3 days away at maximum speed. It's in the graveyard." Everyone on the bridge became quiet. The graveyard was a dangerous area of space where 2 stars had collapsed long ago. The gravity there was very strange and unpredictable. Many ships had gone into the graveyard over the years, but none had ever come back out. "Are you sure about those coordinates?" Jake asked. "Yes, sir. I've checked them 3 times. Lisa looked worried. "Captain, no ship has ever survived a trip to the graveyard. The gravity fields there can tear a ship apart." Jake walked back to his chair and sat down. He thought about what to do. The signal might be a trap. It might be something dangerous that would hurt his crew. But it might also be someone who needed help. "Ben, have you learned anything else about the signal?" "I've been trying to decode it, Captain. It's very complex, but I think I'm starting to understand some parts. I believe it might be a distress call." Dr. Stone stepped forward. "A distress call? From who?" "I don't know yet," Ben said. "But whoever is sending it, they're not human." Jake felt his heart beat faster. First contact with an alien species was something humans had dreamed about for centuries. But it had never happened before. If this really was a distress call from aliens, it would change everything. "How sure are you that it's a distress call?" Jake asked. Ben worked at his station for several more minutes. Finally, he looked up. "I'm about 70% sure, Captain. Some of the mathematical patterns match universal distress signals that we've theorized about, and the way it keeps repeating suggests urgency." Lisa shook her head. "Even if it is a distress call, we can't help anyone in the graveyard. Our ship isn't designed for those kinds of gravity fields." "But we can't just ignore it," Dr. Stone said. If there are beings out there who need help, we have to try. Jake looked at each member of his crew. They were all good people who had followed him through many dangerous situations. He knew they would follow his orders no matter what he decided. But this decision would affect more than just his crew. It could affect all of humanity. Ben, how long would it take us to get there? 3 days at maximum warp, Captain. And how long do you think the signal has been broadcasting? It's hard to say, sir. But based on the power levels, I'd guess. It's been going for at least several days, maybe weeks. Jake thought about the old laws of space travel. They came from the ancient laws of the sea back on Earth. The most important law was simple. You always help someone in distress. It didn't matter who they were or where they came from. If someone needed help, you helped them. Lisa, can our ship handle the gravity fields in the graveyard? Lisa looked at her instruments. It won't be easy, Captain, but I think we can do it if we're very careful. Jake made his decision. Set course for the graveyard. Maximum warp. Yes, sir, Lisa said, and began working at her controls dot as the UES horizon changed direction and sped up. Jake wondered what they would find when they got there. Would they find aliens who needed help? Would they find danger? Would they find something that would change human history forever? He didn't know the answers to these questions, but he knew that doing the right thing was more important than being safe. If there were beings out there who needed help, Captain Jake Morrison and his crew would do everything they could to help them. 3 days later, the UES horizon dropped out of warp speed at the edge of the graveyard. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, looking at the main screen in amazement. What he saw, there was something no human had ever seen before. 15 huge ships floated in the darkness of space. Each ship was as big as a small city back on Earth. They were shaped like long needles with wide sections in the middle. The ships were beautiful, but they were also clearly damaged. Jake could see holes in their hulls and flickering lights where there should have been steady ones. "My God," whispered Dr. Amy Stone. "They're enormous." Ben Carter worked frantically at his station. "Captain, I'm reading massive power failures across all 15 ships. Their life support systems are failing." Lisa Parker studied her instruments. "The gravitational fields here are even worse than we thought. These ships are trapped. They can't move." Jake felt his stomach tighten. Whatever was happening here, it was bad. Very bad. "Ben, can you establish communication with them?" "I'm trying, Captain. The signal we followed here is still broadcasting, but it's much weaker now." For the next hour, Ben worked to make contact with the alien ships. Jake watched the main screen, seeing the massive vessels drift slowly in the strange gravity of the graveyard. Some of the ships looked like they were breaking apart. "Got it," Ben said suddenly. "I'm getting a response." The bridge filled with a new sound. It was different from the distress signal they had followed. This sound was more like speech, but in a language no human had ever heard before. "Can you understand any of it?" Jake asked. "I'm running it through the universal translator. It's going to take a few minutes to build a language database." While they waited, Jake studied the alien ships more carefully. The design was unlike anything humans had ever built. The ships seemed to be made of some kind of metal that changed color in the light. They were graceful and elegant, even in their damaged state. "Captain," Ben said, "I think I've got something." The alien voice came through the speakers again, but this time there were human words mixed in with the alien sounds. "Greetings, unknown vessel. We are KELANI. We need help. Jake felt his heart racing. This was it. First contact with an alien species. He had to handle this perfectly. "Ben, can you send a message back to them?" "Yes, sir." The translator is working both ways now. Jake thought carefully about what to say. "Tell them this is Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel UES Horizon. Tell them we received their distress signal and came to help. Ben sent the message. They waited for a response. The alien voice came back, clearer now as the translator got better. Captain Morrison. I am ZETH-K ... leader of this fleet ... We did not know. There were other intelligent beings in this region of space. Ask them what happened, Jake said. We were evacuating our homeworld. It was dying ... We had 15 ships. With over 2 million of our people, we were traveling to a new world. When we were caught in these gravity fields, our faster-than-light drives ... were damaged. We have been trapped here for 12 days ... Jake felt sick. 2 million people trapped on dying ships. This was a disaster beyond anything he had imagined. Ask them about their life support systems. Our life support is failing. We have perhaps 3 more days ... before it stops working completely. Many of our people are already sick. From the poor air ... Dr. Stone stepped forward. Captain, I need to know about their biology. I might be able to help them medically. Jake nodded. Zethka, this is our medical officer. She wants to help your people. Can you tell us about your biology? We are silicon-based life forms. We breathe a mixture of nitrogen and methane ... Our body temperature is much lower than yours ... We have studied your ship and can see you are carbon-based ... Very different from us ... Dr. Stone looked worried. That's going to make medical treatment very difficult. I've never dealt with silicon-based life forms before. Captain, Lisa said, I'm detecting more power failures on their ships. 3 of them are in critical condition. Jake made a quick decision. Ben, tell Zethka that we're going to help them. Tell them we're sending over repair teams and medical supplies. But Captain, Lisa protested, we don't have enough supplies for 2 million people, and we don't know how to work on their technology. We'll figure it out, Jake said firmly. Ben, send the message. The response came back quickly. Captain Morrison, your offer ... is very kind, but your one small ship cannot save 2 million people. We are grateful ... but we do not want your people to die ... trying to save us ... Jake felt a surge of respect for Zethka. Even facing death, the alien leader was worried about human lives. Tell them we're not giving up. Tell them we're calling for help. Jake turned to Ben. I want you to send a message back to Earth. Tell them we've made contact with an alien species. Tell them there are 2 million refugees trapped in the graveyard, and they need immediate help. Yes, sir, Ben said, and began working on the message. Lisa, I want you to take a team over to the nearest Kelani ship. See if you can help them with their power systems. Captain, we don't know anything about their technology. Then we'll learn. Dr. Stone, you're going with her. See if you can help their sick people. Over the next few hours, human shuttles began flying back and forth between the UE's Horizon and the Kelani ships. It was dangerous work. The strange gravity fields made navigation very difficult, and one shuttle was nearly destroyed when it got caught in a gravity wave. Lisa and her team boarded the first Kelani ship and were amazed by what they found. The aliens were tall and thin, with skin that looked like smooth stone. They had 4 arms and large eyes that glowed softly in the dark. Despite their strange appearance, they were clearly intelligent and sophisticated. Working together, humans and Kelani began to stabilize the most critical systems. It was slow work because the technologies were so different, but gradually they made progress. Dr. Stone had a harder time. The Kelani biology was completely different from human biology. Their blood was blue, and their organs were arranged in ways that made no sense to her. But she studied and learned, and slowly began to understand how to help them. Meanwhile, Jake stayed on the bridge, coordinating the rescue efforts and waiting for a response to his message to Earth. He knew help was coming, but would it arrive in time? As the hours passed, more colony ships began to lose power. Jake watched the main screen, seeing the lights flicker and die on ship after ship. 2 million lives hung in the balance, and he had only one small human ship to help them. But Jake Morrison was not the kind of man who gave up easily. He would do everything in his power to save the colony, even if it meant risking his own ship and crew. The greatest rescue operation in galactic history was about to begin. 2 days after Jake Morrison sent his message to Earth, the response began to arrive. The first ship to come out of warp was the U.S. Liberty, a massive battleship commanded by Admiral Susan Clark. Jake had never been so happy to see another human ship in his life. "Captain Morrison," Admiral Clark's voice came through the communication system. "We received your message. We're here to help." Jake looked at the main screen and saw that the Liberty was not alone. Behind it came ship after ship after ship. Military vessels, cargo ships, passenger liners, and even small private ships. They kept coming until there were over 50 ships floating in space near the graveyard. "Admiral," Jake said, "there are 2 million colony refugees on 15 ships. Their life support systems are failing, and they can't move because of the gravity fields. We understand the situation, Captain. We've brought everything we could get our hands on. Medical ships, supply vessels, repair teams, and emergency shelters." Jake felt relief wash over him. Help had arrived, and it was bigger than he had dared to hope. But the rescue fleet was just the beginning. Back on Earth and the human colonies, something amazing was happening. The news of the stranded aliens had spread across human space faster than anyone had expected. People everywhere were talking about the colony and their desperate situation. Dr. Richard Hayes, who ran the Humanitarian Crisis Response Division, was working 20 hours a day to organize the relief effort. His office was filled with volunteers who wanted to help. Phone calls came in from every human world offering supplies, ships, and people. "We need more medical supplies," Dr. Hayes told his assistant. "The colony have completely different biology from us. We need to manufacture new medicines and equipment. The chemical companies have donated their entire production capacity," his assistant replied. "And the medical schools are sending their best students to help." On the colony world of New Geneva, the shipyards were working day and night to build emergency shelters. These were simple structures that could house thousands of people temporarily. The workers refused to take breaks, knowing that millions of lives depended on their work. Children on Earth held bake sales to raise money for the rescue effort. Companies donated their products for free. Retired spacers came out of retirement to pilot supply ships. Even people who had never been off their home planets volunteered to help in any way they could. Back in the graveyard, Jake watched in amazement as more and more ships arrived. The rescue fleet grew to over 100 ships, then 200, then 300. He had never seen so many human ships in one place before. Admiral Clark took command of the operation and began organizing the rescue effort. She was a tough woman with gray hair and sharp eyes who had been in the military for 30 years. She knew how to get things done. "Captain Morrison," she said, "you and your crew have done excellent work. We'll take it from here. With respect, Admiral, my crew knows the colony better than anyone. We want to keep helping." Admiral Clark smiled. "I was hoping you'd say that. You'll be working directly with the colony leadership. We need someone they trust." Jake spent the next few days working closely with Zethka, a colony leader. Despite their different species, Jake found that he liked and respected the alien. Zethka was calm and dignified, even in the face of disaster. "Your people are remarkable," Zethka told Jake through the translator. "We sent out a distress signal, not knowing if anyone would hear it. Not only did you hear it, but you came to help us even though you had never met us before." "That's what people do," Jake replied. "When someone needs help, you help them." "Not all species think this way," Zethka said. "We have met others in our travels. Most were only interested in what they could gain from us. Your people asked for nothing in return." Jake thought about that. It was true that humans weren't asking for anything from the Kelani except the chance to help. That seemed normal to him. But maybe it wasn't normal for other species. Meanwhile, the rescue operation was growing bigger every day. Dr. Amy Stone was now working with teams of human doctors who were learning Kelani medicine. They had figured out how to make medicines that would work on silicon-based life forms, and they were treating thousands of sick Kelani every day. Lisa Parker was leading engineering teams that were working to repair the Kelani ships, the alien. Technology was very different from human technology, but working together, they were slowly learning how to fix it. The most difficult part was the faster-than-light drives. The Kelani ships couldn't leave the graveyard until these were repaired. Lisa studied the alien technology for hours every day, trying to understand how it worked. "It's completely different from our warp drives," she told Jake. "They use some kind of gravitational manipulation that we've never seen before. But I think I'm starting to understand it." One of the biggest challenges was housing the Kelani refugees. The emergency shelters that arrived from New Geneva helped, but they weren't designed for silicon-based life forms. Human engineers worked day and night to modify them for the Kelani's needs. Ben Carter was coordinating communications between all the ships in the rescue fleet. With over 400 ships now in the area, keeping everyone organized was a huge job. But somehow, everything was working. The rescue fleet had become like a floating city. Ships were connected by cables and docking tubes. People moved back and forth between vessels, sharing supplies and information. Humans and Kelani worked side by side, learning from each other. Dr. Hayes arrived on one of the medical ships, bringing with him the latest equipment from Earth. He was amazed by what he saw. "I've been organizing disaster relief for 20 years. He told Jake, "But I've never seen anything like this. The response from our people has been incredible." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "We had more volunteers than we could use, more supplies than we could ship, more money donated than we could spend. When people heard about the Kelani, they wanted to help in any way they could." Jake looked out at the rescue fleet surrounding the Kelani ships. Hundreds of human vessels filled the space around them. Thousands of people were working around the clock to save aliens they had never met before. "Why do you think that is?" Jake asked. Dr. Hayes thought for a moment. "I think it's because helping others is what makes us human. When we see someone in need, we can't just walk away. It doesn't matter if they're from Earth or from another star. If they need help, we help them." As Jake watched the rescue operation continue, he realized that this was more than just a rescue. This was humanity showing the galaxy who they really were. They were a species that would risk everything to help others, even complete strangers. The Kelani were about to learn that when humans say they'll help, they mean it. And the galaxy was about to learn that humanity was not just another species among many. They were something special. The rescue operation had grown into something nobody had ever imagined. Over 400 human ships now surrounded the stranded Kelani fleet. The space around the graveyard looked like a massive city made of spaceships. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the U.S. horizon, watching the incredible sight. Military ships worked alongside civilian vessels. Cargo ships had been converted into hospitals. Even small family trading ships were carrying supplies and helping with the rescue. "Captain," Ben Carter said, "I'm getting reports from all over the fleet. The evacuation of the most damaged Kelani ships is going well, but we're running into problems. Jake turned to face his communications officer. What kind of problems? The gravity fields are getting worse. 3 more human ships have been damaged trying to get close to the Kelani vessels. And we're running out of space to put the evacuated Kelani. This was the challenge Jake had been worrying about. The graveyard was a dangerous place for any ship to operate, as strange gravity fields could crush a vessel or tear it apart without. Warning: several human ships had already been lost, and more were damaged every day. Dr. Amy Stone walked onto the bridge. She looked tired but determined. Captain, we've evacuated over 300,000 Kelani from the most damaged ships, but we're having trouble treating them. Their biology is so different from ours. Are you making progress? Jake asked. Yes, but it's slow. We're learning new things about silicon-based life forms every day. Some of the Kelani are responding well to our treatments, but others are getting sicker. Jake nodded. He knew that. Dr. Stone and her medical teams were doing everything they could. The fact that they were saving any alien lives at all was amazing. Admiral Susan Clark's voice came through the communication system. All ship commanders, this is Admiral Clark. We're beginning the next phase of the operation. Engineering teams will attempt to repair the Kelani faster than light drives. Jake knew this was the most important part of the rescue. If they couldn't fix the Kelani ships, the aliens would be trapped in the graveyard forever. And the human fleet couldn't stay here forever either. Lisa Parker was leading the engineering effort. She had been working with Kelani engineers for days, trying to understand their technology. Jake found her in the engineering section, surrounded by computer screens and alien equipment. How's it going, Lisa? Jake asked. Lisa looked up from her work. Her red hair was messy, and her eyes were tired. It's incredible, Captain. The Kelani technology is centuries ahead of ours in some ways. They can manipulate gravity fields in ways we never imagined. But can you fix it? I think so. The problem is that their faster-than-light drives work by creating artificial gravity fields. When they got caught in the natural gravity fields of the graveyard, it damaged their systems. Jake tried to understand. So you need to fix the gravity manipulators? Exactly. But it's not just a matter of repairing them. We need to modify them so they can work in the graveyard's gravity fields. It's like trying to fix a car while driving it through a hurricane. Over the next week, the rescue operation continued around the clock. Human and Kelani engineers worked together on every ship, sharing knowledge and techniques. They were learning from each other in ways that would have been impossible under normal circumstances. The medical effort was equally impressive. Dr. Stone had organized teams of human doctors who were now experts in Kelani medicine. They had created new medicines and treatments that worked on silicon-based life forms. Thousands of sick Kelani were being treated and cured, but the rescue operation was not without its dangers. The gravity fields in the graveyard were unpredictable and deadly. Jake watched helplessly as a human cargo ship was caught in a gravity wave and torn apart. All 50 crew members died trying to save alien strangers. Captain, Ben said, we're getting reports of more gravity disturbances. Admiral Clark is ordering all non-essential ships to move to safer positions. Jake felt the weight of command on his shoulders. Every decision he made could mean the difference between life and death for his crew. But he also knew that the Kelani were counting on them. Zethk, the Kelani leader, had become a regular visitor to the UES horizon. Despite the language barrier, Jake had developed a deep respect for the alien. Zethk was calm and dignified, even as his people faced extinction. Captain Morrison, Zethk said through the translator, your people are dying to save us. This is not right. We do not want your people to sacrifice themselves for us. Jake looked at the tall, thin alien with his glowing eyes and stone-like skin. Zethk, That's what people do for each other. When someone needs help, you help them, no matter the cost. But we are not your people. We are aliens to you. That doesn't matter, Jake said. You're intelligent beings who are in trouble. That's all that matters to us. Zethka was quiet for a long moment. Your species is very different from others we have met. Most species only help their own kind. You help anyone who needs it. Jake thought about that. Maybe humans were different. Maybe other species weren't willing to risk everything to help strangers. But to Jake, it seemed like the most natural thing in the world. The breakthrough came on the 10th day of the rescue operation. Lisa Parker and her team had finally figured out how to modify the Kelani faster-than-light drives. The first test was conducted on one of the smaller Kelani ships. Powering up the drive now, Lisa reported from the Kelani ship. All systems are showing green. Jake held his breath as he watched the main screen. The Kelani ship began to glow with a soft light. Then suddenly, it disappeared. A moment later, it reappeared a few thousand kilometers away, safely outside the graveyard. It worked. Lisa's voice came through the communication system. The drive is functioning perfectly. Cheers erupted on the bridge of the UE's horizon. Jake felt a surge of hope. If they could fix one ship, they could fix them all. Over the next few days, human and Kelani engineers worked together to modify the faster-than-light drives on all 15 Kelani ships. It was dangerous work, and several more human ships were damaged in the process. But gradually, one by one, the Kelani ships were repaired. The evacuation of the Kelani refugees continued. The human fleet had been converted into a massive rescue operation. Every ship, no matter how small, was carrying Kelani refugees to safety. Dr. Hayes, who had come from Earth to oversee the humanitarian effort, was amazed by what he saw. "I've never seen anything like this," he told Jake. "People from every human world have come to help. We have volunteers from colonies that are thousands of light years away." Jake looked out at the rescue fleet. It was the largest gathering of human ships in history. And they were all here for one reason: to help aliens they had never met before. "Why did they come?" Jake asked. "Because it's the right thing to do," Dr. Hayes replied. When people heard about the Kelani, they couldn't just sit at home and do nothing. They had to help. As the rescue operation entered its final phase, Jake realized that something important had happened. Humanity had shown the galaxy what kind of species they were. They had proven that they would risk everything to help others, even complete strangers from another world. The Kelani would never forget what the humans had done for them. And word of the rescue would spread throughout the galaxy, establishing humanity's reputation as a species that could be trusted and respected. The greatest rescue operation in galactic history was almost complete. Soon, the Kelani would be free to continue their journey to their new home. And humanity would have gained something more valuable than any treasure: the friendship and respect of another intelligent species. 3 weeks after the rescue operation began, all 15 Kelani ships had been repaired and were ready to leave the graveyard. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UE's horizon, watching as the alien vessels powered up their faster-than-light drives. For the first time in weeks, the human rescue fleet had grown to over 400 ships. They formed a protective circle around the Kelani vessels, ready to escort them safely out of the dangerous gravity fields. It was the largest fleet of human ships ever assembled, and they were all here for one purpose: to help alien strangers. Captain Ben Carter said, "Zethka is requesting permission to address the combined fleet." Jake nodded. "Put him through to all ships." The main screen showed the interior of the late Kelani vessel. Zethka stood in the center, his tall, thin form elegant and dignified. His stone-like skin seemed to glow softly in the alien lighting, and his large eyes reflected a deep emotion that needed no translation. People of Earth, Zethka began, his translated words carrying across hundreds of ships. 3 weeks ago, we thought we were going to die. Our ships were broken, our people were sick, and we were trapped in this place of death. We sent out a distress signal, not knowing if anyone would hear it or care. Jake felt his chest tighten as he listened to the alien leader's words. But you heard us. Captain Morrison and his crew came to help us, even though they had never seen us before. Even though we were complete strangers from another world. They risked their lives to save us. On the bridge, Dr. Amy Stone wiped tears from her eyes. Lisa Parker stood quietly, thinking about all the work they had done together. But Captain Morrison and his crew were not alone, Zethka continued. When they called for help, all of humanity answered. Hundreds of ships came. Thousands of people worked day and night to save us. You shared your food, your medicine, your knowledge. You risked your ships and your lives for people you had never met. Admiral Susan Clark, listening from the bridge of the UESA Liberty, felt proud of her species. This was humanity at its best. In all our travels across the galaxy, Zethka said, we have met many intelligent species. Some were friendly, some were hostile, and some simply ignored us. But we have never met a species like yours. You helped us not because you wanted something from us, but because it was the right thing to do. Jake thought about all the humans who had volunteered for the rescue mission. People had come from every human world, bringing supplies and offering their help. Children had held fundraisers. Companies had donated their products. Retired spacers had come out of retirement to pilot ships. Everyone had wanted to help. You saved 2,100,000 Kelani lives, Zethka continued. That is more than the total population of many worlds. You did this knowing that we might have nothing to offer you in return. You did this because you believe that all intelligent life has value. The alien leader paused, and when he spoke again, his voice was filled with emotion that crossed the species barrier. We have decided that we want to share our technology with you. Our knowledge of gravity manipulation, our energy systems, our medical techniques. We offer these to you freely as a small token of our gratitude. Jake felt his heart race. The Kelani technology was centuries ahead of human science. Their gravity manipulators could revolutionize space travel. Their energy systems could power entire worlds. Their medical knowledge could save millions of human lives. But more than our technology, Zethka said, we offer you our friendship. We want to form an alliance with humanity. We want to work together to explore the galaxy and help others who need it. Admiral Clark activated her communication system. Zethka, this is Admiral Clark. On behalf of humanity, I accept your offer of friendship. We would be honored to work with the Kelani people. There is one more thing, Zethka said. We have decided to name our new homeworld after Captain Morrison and his crew. It will be called Morrison's World, so that future generations of Kelani will remember the humans who saved us. Jake felt overwhelmed. He had just been doing his job, following the basic rule of space travel. You always help someone in distress. He had never expected anything like this. Over the next few hours, the Kelani ships prepared to depart. The human fleet would escort them safely out of the graveyard, and then the aliens would continue their journey to their new home. But before they left, there was one more ceremony. Representatives from both species met on the UES Liberty to sign the first treaty between humanity and an alien race. It was called the Morrison Accords, named after the captain who had first answered the Kelani distress call. Jake stood with Admiral Clark as they signed the document. Zethka and other Kelani leaders signed as well, using their own strange writing system alongside the human signatures. This treaty creates a new era, Admiral Clark said as she put down her pen. Humanity and the Kelani will work together as friends and allies. We will share our knowledge, explore space together, and help others who need it. Dr. Richard Hayes, who had organized much of the humanitarian effort, spoke next. This rescue operation has shown the galaxy what humanity stands for. We believe that all intelligent life has value. We believe in helping others, no matter who they are or where they come from. After the ceremony, the great fleet began to move. The Kelani ships, now fully repaired, started their engines. The human ships formed a protective formation around them. Together, they left the graveyard behind. Jake watched from his bridge as they traveled through normal space. The journey out of the dangerous gravity fields took several hours, but finally they reached safe space where the Kelani could use their faster-than-light drives. Captain Morrison, Zethka's voice came through. The communication system one last time. We will never forget what you and your people have done for us. When other species ask us about humanity, we will tell them this story. We will tell them that when an alien fleet was stranded and facing death, it was the humans who came to help. It was our honor to help you, Jake replied. Have a safe journey to your new home. One by one, the Kelani ships activated their faster-than-light drives and disappeared into the stars. Soon, only the human fleet remained in the empty space where the greatest rescue operation in galactic history had taken place. As the human ships began to disperse, heading back to their home worlds, Jake thought about what had happened. In 3 weeks, everything had changed. Humanity had made contact with an alien species, saved 2 million lives, and formed their first interstellar alliance. But more than that, they had shown the galaxy what kind of species humans were. They were not conquerors or exploiters. They were helpers and protectors. When someone needed aid, humans would come running, no matter the cost or danger. Dr. Stone joined Jake on the bridge as the U.S. Horizon prepared to return home. Captain, do you think we'll see the Kelani again? I'm sure we will, Jake said. This is just the beginning. Lisa Parker looked up from her engineering station. Captain, I've been thinking about the Kelani technology they shared with us. If we can understand it completely, it could change everything. Faster space travel, better energy systems, new medical treatments. And they're giving it to us freely, Ben Carter added. Just because we helped them, Jake nodded. The Kelani had offered their most advanced technology as a gift. They didn't want payment or trade agreements. They simply wanted to say thank you for saving their lives. Over the following months, news of the rescues spread throughout human space and beyond. The story was told on every human world. How Captain Morrison and his crew had answered an alien distress call. How humanity had mounted the largest rescue operation in galactic history. And how they had saved 2 million alien lives without asking for anything in return. The Kelani kept their promise to share their technology. Human scientists worked with Kelani engineers to understand the advanced systems. New ships were built that could travel faster and farther than ever before. Medical advances saved countless human lives. Energy systems made life better on every human world. But the technology was just the beginning. The real gift was the friendship between the two species. Human and Kelani explorers worked together to map new regions of space. When other alien species were discovered, humans and Kelani approached them together, offering friendship and aid. The Morrison Accords became a model for future first contact situations. The basic principles were simple. Treat all intelligent life with respect, offer help to those who need it, and always try to build friendship rather than fear. Jake Morrison returned to Earth as a hero, but he never thought of himself that way. When reporters asked him why he had risked his ship and crew to save aliens, his answer was always the same. It's what people do. When someone needs help, you help them. Years later, When the Kelani established their new homeworld, they built a monument to the rescue operation. It showed human and Kelani figures working together, with an inscription in both languages. When an alien fleet was stranded, it was the humans who came to help. The story became legend throughout the galaxy. Other alien species learned about humanity's compassion and courage. Some species sought out humans as allies and friends. Others, who might have been hostile, chose to approach peacefully instead. Humanity's reputation spread from star to star. They were a species that could be trusted, a species that would help anyone,